Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and I just became one of the first trainers in the world to reach 3,000 ELO in this Precious Path season of GO Battle League. Now, I'm well aware this is an interlude season, so the ranks stop at rank 20, but even still, I wanted to try and make it to 3,000 ELO, and I have managed to achieve that. Today I'm going to be showcasing the final team that I used for that last little push to reach 3,000 ELO, and this team is built around Pangoro. I was noticing there was a lot of teams built around the core of Ghost plus Steel or Ghost plus Ferret, and Pangoro did a great job at core breaking them. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and in game number 1, we're off to a bit of a tricky start leading Pangoro into Shadow Torterra. Anytime you see Torterra, you can pretty safely assume that there's going to be a Bastiodon in the back. That means I need to preserve Pangoro. Pangoro's Night Slash is no shield, and that's big damage onto Torterra. Sand Tomb is a pretty weak move, but Pangoro is very glassy, so I'm forced to put up the shield, and then switch out to reset my debuff. My opponent is going to respond to the Gourgeist safe switch with a Togekiss. Togekiss is still going to take monster damage from Shadow Ball, and the shield comes up, and that's very good for me. You may notice this is an ABA-style team. Both Pangoro and Gourgeist are weak to flying, and then I have my anti-flyer in the back, which is Carbink. I can now reveal Carbink as my final Pokemon. Carbink gonna look for a full farm down, as I'm more than happy to absorb Aura Spheres from the Togekiss. Togekiss is gonna make one final Aura Sphere before I get the Rock Throw down, and my opponent should look to send out Bastiodon. When they do, I'm gonna throw one Rock Throw to bait them into throwing a second Smackdown to get the energy head start that I need on Pangoro to win the game. Because now I have the back-to-back Night Slashes before they're able to make the Sand Tomb. Night Slash gets the shield, Night Slash takes the knockout, and by successfully reading that Torterra always has Bastiodon in the back, we now take the win. As in comes Bastiodon, but we're taking out the trash. Pangoro makes close combat takes the one-hit KO, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, picking up a truly terrible lead, Pangoro into Florges. I like to bank a little bit of energy and then safe switch into Gourgeist. Gourgeist is a wall to Florges, so the fact that they're throwing energy is amazing news for me. But Florges has the surprise, it's not running the typical moveset, instead it's running Disarming Voice. Disarming Voice lands, that's big damage, and I undertap the Shadow Ball, my opponent no shields, and this will allow me to make a play for switch advantage. So I put up the shield as they go for another Disarming Voice, in comes Marowak, and suddenly things are looking pretty good for me. Marowak is going to end up on the Pangoro, it's not going to end up on the Carbink, which is very good news for me. My opponent doesn't throw the Bone Club, instead they're going to go for a 2-shield full farm down. They're going to exit with a ton of energy, and this energy will be very threatening onto the Panda. In comes Pangoro, one Mud Slap and the Bone Club. I know that I can survive this, but Pangoro is going to start losing HP very quickly. They throw on alignment, just trying to force the shield, and then they're going to need to switch out because I'm very close to a close combat. In the back, they have Charjabug, and unfortunately for my opponent, losing switch advantage was the entire game. Gourgeist being able to win switch in that mid-game against the Disarming Voice Florges just set me up for success, as Carbink just absolutely shreds through Charjabug. Charjabug, I don't want to take any more discharges, so I fire off the Rock Slide, take the knockout. Pangoro has the close combat, so this game is over. Marowak, gonna look for a farm down here, but I'm able to make the Rock Slide. Rock Slide will burn my switch timer, so now I can go for the combo play with the close combat on Pangoro. Pangoro winning charge attack priority over that Marowak. Close combat takes the knockout. Man, Pangoro is so much fun to run this season. We get the dream lead in the next match, Pangoro into Shadow Mightyena. That's the other amazing thing about Pangoro, is Pangoro completely destroys the Shadow Mightyena, Wigglytuff, and Steelix team. Because they're ABA weak to fighting, they just have to stay in, and then they just get completely destroyed by the Panda. Pangoro farms it into Night Slash range, takes the knockout, in comes Wigglytuff. I pivot into Gourgeist, and my opponent sends out not a Steelix, but instead they send out Bastiodon. So, I guess a variant of the team that I was talking about, but either way, they were ABA to fighting. So the Pangoro lead just has that team in absolute shambles. Shadow Balls slowly add up onto the Bastiodon. Bastiodon knows it can't really afford to shield because it's about to get absolutely crushed by Pangoro. Flamethrower is going to land, Gourgeist hangs on, unfortunately will get farmed down. In comes Pangoro, Wigglytuff gets Carbinked, and my opponent will concede the match. We move to the next match, picking up a pretty bad lead, Pangoro into Charjabug. This team does have 2 Charjabug answers in the back. I safe switch into Gourgeist. Oh no, my opponent mistimes it, and that's an entire free Incinerate for Gourgeist. Gourgeist now going to be answered with a Primeape, and I'm not baiting. I'm guaranteeing big damage or their shield. Shadow Ball crushes the Primeape, and I think I have just enough HP on Gourgeist to survive. Rage Fist lands, Gourgeist with the 1 HP survive. I don't get my Incinerate because I get sniped down by the Volt Switch, but now Carbink will take care of the Charjabug. I still don't know what their final Pokemon in the back is yet. They land the Discharge, they're staying in, and now they reveal their final Pokemon is Marowak. Marowak did get a bit of an energy head start there, which is a bit concerning. They call the Night Slash bait, but the good news for me is that these Karate Chops will slowly start adding up and put them closer and closer to Rock Slide range. Night Slash is going to be shielded, no boost for the Panda, but even without the boost, these Karate Chops are just so oppressive, adding up over time and getting my opponent closer and closer to Rock Slide range. Night Slash from the Panda is going to be forcing the shield. I'm going to switch into Carbink as my opponent tries to catch onto the Charjabug. Unfortunately, the catch attempt is unsuccessful. I'll get to just fully farm down the Charjabug as they fire off discharges. Exit with the Moonblast loaded. They were in Rock Slide range anyway, but if we have the Moonblast, we may as well throw it to guarantee the knockout. So even with a bit of a scary endgame, Carbink on a Marowak, we're able to take the win. This lead is not as good as you might think, leading Pangoro into Gourgeist. Gourgeist typically actually beats Pangoro, because Pangoro, it can hit for big super effective damage with Night Slash, but they can just incinerate you into a range where Seed Bomb KOs. My opponent undertaps the Seed Bomb, I put up the shield, and I'm going to look to keep spamming out these Night Slashes. My opponent waited a turn and then threw. So my plan here is to wait the turn, switch into Gourgeist, and I catch the Seed Bomb. That is a really big catch for me. I'm able to preserve the Pangoro, and my opponent sends in Shadow Sealeo. Shadow Sealeo, these Powder Snows are shredding me, but their charge attacks are walled. They run Surf and Body Slam. Seed Bomb lands, Sealeo able to hang on. Sealeo throws 1 Powder Snow and the move, and this means my Incinerate damage will not register. Surf will take the KO. I send in Carbink looking for a farm down, but Shadow Sealeo is too bulky. 1 HP remaining, they make the Surf, and that's big damage onto the Carbink. Carbink is now pretty low. What does my opponent have in the back? They bring in the Gourgeist. Gourgeist farming up, they bank a move, they have their own Carbink, and I send in Pangoro. Pangoro should be in a winning position here because the Rock Throw resist means my opponent doesn't really have a lot of fast move pressure. I just go straight close combat. Carbink gets absolutely destroyed, and Carbink will fire off the Rock Slide to pressure my final shield. At this point, I just need my switch clock to be up, so I go for a Night Slash knowing they will never shield it. This is intentional. I cannot afford to give the Gourgeist farm. That is how I can potentially lose. So I Night Slash into close combat to burn the clock. My clock comes up. I send in the Carbink. We Rock Throw down right before they get the energy for the back-to-back Seed Bombs and take the win. We're battling the world champion Beelzebub in the next match, and we get the greatest lead we could possibly hope for. Pangoro leading into Corsola. My opponent safe switches into Shadow Drapion, and after 4 Karate Chops, I make a catch of the Aqua Tail onto Carbink. Now, it might seem a little bit odd catching a super effective Aqua Tail onto Carbink, but I don't have a good response to Drapion with this team. Drapion does very well into Pangoro. It absolutely destroys my Gourgeist, so Carbink is unfortunately the best option for me. Carbink goes for the Rock Slide, the shield comes up from Drapion. If he overfarms too much, I'm sniping him with the Night Slash. I go for the snipe, but he predicts it. He fires off the Aqua Tail, and now I'm forced to put up the shield. I fire off the Night Slash, winning charge attack priority over the Drapion, but by him predicting and firing off the Aqua Tail there, he's now guaranteed to land an Aqua Tail for big damage on Pangoro. So I shield 1, I tank 1, I try and Karate Chop down, but he makes charge attack number 3, and that's bad news for me. I still don't know what he has in the back, but when he pivots in Corsola, I realize it's something weak to fighting. I'm expecting it's going to be Bastiodon, so my plan is pretty simple. I'm going to look to bank at close combat and then send in the Carbink. Carbink trying to make it to the Rock Slide, can't quite get there. Corsola fires off the Nightshade. Nightshade lands. Carbink hangs on 1 HP to make the last second Rock Slide. Rock Slide lands, getting Corsola low. If it's Bastiodon, I need to save the close combat. Gourgeist cannot win the Zero Shield, so I send in Gourgeist and I make my read. If it's not Bastiodon, if they're not weak to fighting, I have just lost this game. Nightshade lands, that's devastating damage. In the back is Licky Licky, and this is not a Bastiodon, but it's close combatable. I make the close combat on the CMP tied to the body slam. Licky Licky gets rocked, and I should KO them in 1 Incinerate. This will set me up perfectly. Its Gourgeist now has double Seed Bomb. It doesn't matter what they bring in. Both their remaining Pokemon are in Seed Bomb range. In comes Drapion. Drapion is just too low from all the karate chops it took earlier. Seed Bomb will take the knockout. Down goes Drapion. In comes Corsola. Seed Bomb should be knocking out the Corsola, and despite a really rough misplay in the mid game, we fight back and get the win. We see a familiar lead in the next match, Pangoro into Gourgeist. Again, despite the type advantage for Pangoro, Gourgeist actually plays this matchup very well. Pangoro, this is not a fun lead to play out of. My opponent throws a Seed Bomb on alignment to guarantee that they force the first shield of the match, and now I can fire off 2 Night Slashes on good timing. My opponent is in a bit of a difficult spot here, because if they throw the next Incinerate, then I just outpace and make a 3rd Night Slash. So I predict and I switch it to Gourgeist, they wait the turn, throw the Incinerate, bank the energy, and in comes Licky Licky. I farm to 100 as Licky Licky makes it to the Shadow Ball. I'm going to be putting up the shield because I cannot afford to lose all this energy. I'm at 100, I'm forced to undertap and throw an alignment as I fire off the Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb is going to land 1 more Incinerate, I'm at 2 more Seed Bombs, and I'm hoping that all this energy will knock out the Licky Licky. Seed Bomb shielded up by the Licky Licky, I pivot into Carbink, and I save a charge stack for later. Shadow Ball's not going to do a lot of damage, but no, that's an Earthquake! That's super effective damage, and in comes Morpeko. Against most half-health Pokemon, a neutral Aura Wheel would take the knockout, but that is the Carbink difference. Carbink is the anti-flyer of this team, but it also offers the bulk that Pangoro does not have. Carbink tanks the Aura Wheel, makes the Moonblast, and this will take the knockout. I know my opponent has a move banked on Gourgeist. I could snipe with either the Pangoro or my own. I decide to snipe with my own Gourgeist. I try for the snipe, but they predicted. Did they throw the Seed Bomb anticipating Panda or the Shadow Ball? They threw the Seed Bomb anticipating the Panda snipe, but I didn't go for it. I went for the Gourgeist snipe. Seed Bomb doesn't KO me, but does KO them. Licky Licky gets the Shadow Ball, but the damage has already been done. Licky Licky takes the knockout. In comes Pangoro, karate chopping down. What an incredibly close game, but we're able to survive. We get the worst case scenario lead in the next match, Pangoro into Clodsire. I'm going to try and go for a fancy catch onto Gourgeist. I wait the turn, go for the catch, do not get it, and unfortunately Gourgeist is absolutely crushed by the Furret counterswap. Furret just has such a comfortable matchup here. Seed Bomb is going to land. The Incinerates and Seed Bombs hit for neutral, but look at how much damage I've already taken from Sucker Punch, and it's about to get even worse. Furret goes for the Trailblaze, ramping up their damage. I have to hope that Seed Bomb will take the knockout, but bulky Furret is not going to get KO'd here. My opponent knows it. My opponent is M.E. Weedle, a former Pokemon GO World Champion, the second Pokemon GO World Champion I've played in this video. I tank the Swift on the Carbink, get the farm down. I'm hoping my opponent sends in the Clodsire, but no, they send in Jellicent. Aggressive pivot back in Pangoro. I have one hope in this game, and it's a boost. Night Slash gets the boost, and maybe there's a chance. However, even with this boost, I think the odds of me winning are still probably not the highest, because my opponent banked all the energy on Clodsire. If I got the catch onto the Gourgeist earlier, this boost would win me the game. But I'm just so far behind in terms of energy. Even with my boost, Clodsire goes for a double Stone Edge bait. Even if I ended up calling it, unfortunately, I just don't think there was a path for me forward in this game. Night Slash is going to be shielded. I farm up, going for another Night Slash, but I believe that was a CMP tie. Night Slash is going to be shielded. I'm just getting knocked out here. Unfortunately, that's the end of Pangoro, and they still have a full health Jellicent in the back. Well, it's not full health. It did take a Night Slash, but it's healthy enough. Clodsire makes the Earthquake. This will get me devastatingly low. I'm trying to overfarm as much as I can with the Carbink, but I know I'm already in Surf range. So I farm up to the back-to-back Rock Slides, hoping against hope that this is enough, but I don't even have enough firepower to KO the Jellicent, and on top of that, the Rock Slide misses the knockout. I tried to make it as close as I could, but my opponent showed great patience, not letting me get the catch, and that won them the game. Hopping into the final match, Pangoro into Florges, an absolutely awful lead. We have beaten this lead once before though. I'm going to bank some energy and send in the Gourgeist. Gourgeist farming up. The last Florges that stayed in had Disarming Voice, so I decided to shield the first. My opponent doesn't have it. They throw a Chilling Water. Oh my goodness, that is absolutely awful. Well, if they don't have Disarming Voice, I'm not going to be shielding. I'm now double debuffed, and my opponent catches a Shadow Ball onto Marowak. Why are they switching a Marowak into a Gourgeist? Gourgeist, oh, that animation looked a little bit weird. But the good news is it didn't look like I lost any turns. The game just paused for a minute. I can now put immense pressure on this Marowak by firing off these Seed Bombs. This Seed Bomb is double debuffed, but Marowak is still going to have to respect it. Marowak Bone Club will probably set up a farm down here, but I decide to shield, and they make a critical error. They throw the Rock Slide, and that's going to cost them switch advantage. Had they thrown the Bone Club, they could have got a second Bone Club and knocked me out, but now a double debuffed Gourgeist just flip switch versus a Marowak. Marowak got KO'd. In comes Florges once again. Florges should go for the Trailblaze here. They go for the Chilling Water. That's definitely a misplay. In comes the Carbink. In the back, they have Unova Stunfisk. And now we see why they had to bring in the Marowak. They were triple weak to the Gourgeist. Mud Bomb deals devastating damage to Pangoro, but Pangoro gets the double up on close combats, and that's going to secure the win. Close combat number 1, big damage on a Stunfisk, going for close combat number 2. This will be taking the knockout, and from here, I should be able to take the win with Carbink. Florges has energy, but Carbink is at full HP. You can hit it for super effective damage, and it just simply will not matter. Carbink makes the Rock Slide, and we secure the game. So even despite some pretty terrifying leads for the Panda, we're able to claw our way back and still secure the win. All in all, I do feel like there's a bit of a weight lifted off my shoulders having made 3,000 ELO for this season. Even though it is an unranked season, that's still a goal of mine every season, is to try and hit 3,000. So to hit 3,000 and hit it as early as I did is something that I am quite proud of. As for the team in question, I think that it's a bit of an unbalanced team, but Pangoro ended up breaking a lot of cores that people were trying to climb with. I encountered a lot of Bastiodon, a lot of Mud Slap, and Pangoro had neutral to favorable matchups into both sides of that core, and I ended up really liking it. The team by design is ABA weak to flying, but the most common flying type that I saw was Shadow Talonflame. And Pangoro, due to how quickly it's able to spam out Night Slashes if you throw in good timing, can actually make life a little bit uncomfortable for the Talonflame, as the Talonflame has to go down a shield first or throw on alignment. So somehow, despite the fact that it was ABA, it ended up working out pretty decently well. I like the fact that this is a rare Pangoro team that actually has good checks to Charjabug, as I did encounter quite a lot of Charjabug on ladder. So having both a Gourgeist and a Carbink in the back that can kind of completely invalidate Charjabug ended up being quite nice, because other Pangoro teams that I tried, whether it was Pangoro plus Scizor, Pangoro plus Talonflame, Pangoro plus Corviknight, Charjabug was a really big core breaker. So I really liked for a change that a Pangoro team that I ran actually had real answers to Charjabug, as I did encounter that Pokemon quite a bit. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And an extra special thank you, as always, to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.